The default iRacing overlays are, let's face it, kind of ugly, and they don't give a lot of important information when you're in the middle of a race. Luckily, we have a bunch of third-party overlays that have all sorts of information and can help you work out your pit strategy and how to drive faster than other drivers, and also it can help you if you're like streaming and all sorts of other things. They're super useful. I found 7 of the best overlays that you can use in iRacing, and I'll be trying each of them right now. Let's do it. So I tried 7 different overlays on iRacing, and this is a question I get all the time. What is the best overlay that you should be using? I haven't ranked them in this video. I think all these overlays actually are quite good, and they do serve different purposes. Hopefully this will give you a good guide on which one will be the best for you. I will start with the first overlay though, and this is the one that I currently use. So it's the one that I have the most experience with, and it is called Kapps. This is basically the original streamer overlay. It's by someone called Kutu. They originally released, I think it's iRacing browser apps, was the original version of Kapps. That's pretty much what all the Twitch streamers used to use. Now it's a little bit more diverse, but this was the original program. This app, I think, provides a really good balance between streaming and driving. I obviously stream with it, but also when I'm spotting for friends and teammates, I use this even when I'm off stream as well. If you are new to third-party overlays on iRacing, there is a bunch of stuff that you'll find useful when you're driving, and all of these overlays have kind of different bits of this. So I'll go through some of the basics that you can expect. This is based upon my standings and my relatives, so I've actually set this up for myself. I have information if a driver is up or down position, so you can see if someone's on a hot streak driving through the field or if someone's dropping after a really strong qualifying. I've also got information on each driver's safety and license grade and their I rating. This is pretty useful if you see like a D 1.1 safety rating driver, like watch out for them. They're probably gonna be a little bit loose. And if you see like an 8,000 I rating driver up like 6 positions driving through the pack, you probably know that they're gonna pass you pretty quickly. So maybe don't fight super hard for it. I also have it set up to show you I rating gains on screen. This is a pretty cool feature. It's come out in the last couple of years, way more than the default iRacing information can show you. This is sometimes a little bit dangerous. Sometimes people drive to this number and you can get sucked into being like, oh no, I'm losing I rating, or I'm only gaining like 2 I rating, and drive like overdrive a little bit, but I find it pretty useful. I also have the gap to the leader, the interval, and the latest lap time. This is all super useful to work out like the pace that certain drivers are going, if they're actually gaining or losing. I also have the pit time, the last pit time, and the time in the pit for the last pit. So this is really useful for pit strategy. You can see when they went down the lane last, maybe if they were stopped longer, they might have taken more fuel, or maybe they took tires. This is really good information to know. The final 3 numbers on the top left of the screen in the standing box are for the deltas for the last 3 laps. The top bar includes, above the standings, includes an expected lap amount if it's a timed race. So if it's a 30-minute race, it'll be like, this will be this many laps. It also has the expected time length if it's a lap race, so you can see how long it will take. It's got the track temperature and it's got the strength of field as well. Also in Kapps is a fuel calculator. I use this behind my camera, so you can't actually see it, but this gives you your fuel usage and how much fuel you'll need to finish a race. You can completely customize this. What my settings are, I normally run a 5-lap average, a qualifying lap, and a last lap, and I'll use all 3 of these numbers to really work out how much fuel I need to take, especially if I'm fuel saving. It can give me a good idea. Otherwise, Kapps as an overlay includes a bunch of other useful things that I don't use, like a track map. There's inputs, like an inputs graph as well. And it also includes really useful streamer things, which I do use. You can use Twitch chat. There's a viewer count I have at the top right. And there's a bet bot as well, which means that Kapps can basically automatically allow your viewers to bet on your races using like made up credits. So that's Kapps. That's the program I'm most used to using. And I think it provides a really good balance between streaming tools and also providing good information during a race. And to use it, you need to subscribe to Kutu once on Twitch, and then you have access forever at the moment. The next overlay that I tried for this is called Joel Real Timing, or JRT. This is a real old program for iRacing. It's been around for a long time and a lot of people swear by it. The team that I raced with the most in Australia, pretty much all of them use Joel Real Timing. along with my partner. He uses JRT as well and loves it. And I think JRT is super useful mostly if you're not a streamer. JRT is most well known for the dashboard. It's kind of this rectangle screen with your gear, your lap time, your revs, your speed, everything. It's got fuel data. It's got all the information. It's really compact and it's really clear. I think it's the best dashboard that you can use out of any overlay or program in iRacing. It's got so much information, but it's really clear and easy to work out. JRT also is a really good fuel calculator and it has a track map. One thing that my partner always uses is they will set their fuel time and the pit transit time, and it will automatically work out where on the track you will come out after a pit stop. So it's a really useful information to have if you're trying to work out whether to undercut or overcut somebody and you're trying to find a clear spot on the track. Otherwise, JRT I found a little tricky to get set up. There are overlays that you can use and like chuck them on top of your driving. They're not the most useful. I think the dashboard's pretty good, but I think the standings and stuff is a little clunky. I would probably not recommend JRT if you're a streamer. But if you are driving and you want something on an off screen or something on like a little phone or a little dash if you've got one, I think JRT is a really good option. The next overlay that I tried for the first time is called SDK. This one's been around for a long time as well, and I was impressed by SDK, but I was also overwhelmed. So I think this program, I think it's fair to say, is potentially the most powerful overlay tool in all of iRacing that I've used so far. There are so many options. You can customize everything, and it's super useful for broadcasters as well. You can get pre-race overlays, you can get grids, you can get information on each driver, like pictures to pop up. There's all sorts of stuff that you can get on SDK. SDK is infinitely customizable as well. There is so many options. There is a really good YouTube series that I found on their website that kind of walks you through how to set everything up, but it was a little tricky to work out for the first time. Honestly, if you're looking for probably the most powerful overlay and you just want to spend hours and hours setting this up to make it look whatever you want it to look like, I think SDK is a really good option for you. You can change the overlays to fit all sorts of styles. It's currently looking like, I think it's like mid like 2015, 2016, 2017 kind of F1 overlay style, but you can change this to pretty much anything. They have so many options. And if you're into that and kind of customizing it forever, SDK is probably the option for you. Also, if you're a broadcaster, SDK probably is the best option for overlays. But if you're a little bit scared, probably stay away from it. The next overlay I tried is called iRun. It's free, and honestly, it's pretty okay. I think it's one of like but it looks pretty clean and it works straight out of the box. I really like the dashboard on this overlay. The curved kind of like semicircle style I think is really nice. I like how the deltas appear and it shows you your lap times. So I quite like that. I'm not a huge fan of the standings page and the relatives kind of weird, but this is a cool option if you're looking for a free overlay and you want something that's pretty simple. You can pick this one. I also liked how you can just press a single hotkey and you can click and drag the size of each of your boxes to set out the overlay however you want it to look like. So yeah, if you're looking for a free overlay that's pretty simple and you can kind of click and drag on the fly, this is probably a great overlay for you. The next one is called SimRacing Apps, and this overlay has a lot of options. I think from what I can tell, it was originally more of a oval racing kind of centric overlay. I'm not sure if that's entirely correct, but it feels like it's really set up for oval racing, but it does work on road racing as well. There is lots of different little widgets and stuff you can load up. You can load up little standings and a relative and track map. There's a lot of customization. The best thing in SimRacing Apps that I saw was honestly the track map. It actually uses, from what I can see, an actual like picture or like a Google Maps image for each track map, which I think is kind of cool. And it looks really, really, I think flashy if you're putting it on stream. One of the things that I also enjoyed using SimRacing Apps is they have a couple of spotter kind of overlays that you can load up, and it allows you to actually make changes to the car on the fly if you're registered as a crew chief. And you can also like jump between cars and change cameras and all sorts of stuff. I found it quite useful for that. I didn't know that there were kind of overlays set up just for spotting. For SimRacing Apps, I'm not sure if I would recommend it as like a number one for like a streamer driver. I don't think it's the prettiest app out there, but I think it's probably really useful if you're spotting or if you're working with a teammate. And yeah, it's got a lot of options and lots of things to customize. The next overlay I tried is called Racelabs. I've actually raced with Racelabs a bunch. I spent like a year or two using Racelabs a couple of years ago. And Racelabs it's pretty good. There is a free version that you can use, but to get the majority of the features, you will need to use a paid version of Racelabs. And you can do all sorts of stuff with this. Out of the box, the overlays for Racelabs look probably the best out of all of the different overlays. You can also customize this to like lots of little things. I used to have little boxes appear on my screen that would say what track I'm driving at or what car I was driving at. You can get all sorts of different little things to appear. It's really customizable. It's got a really nice interface that shows you what each thing does. I think it's probably the most user-friendly out of all of these overlay options. What I will say though as well is that it also works outside iRacing. So you can use this on ACC, you can use it on F1, rFactor 2, and also Assetto Corsa. So if you're looking for an overlay that works with multiple sims, you're not just an iRacing driver, I would probably look at Racelabs. The final overlay I tried is called iOverlays. This one is free, and honestly, I was really surprised by this. Overlays always take a little bit to set up on your computer, but I literally opened iOverlays and it was just like, bang, already working perfect. I was really surprised. It looks lovely and it just works out of the box. Like Kapps and Racelabs, iOverlays is pretty customizable. You can choose what will show in your relative and in your standings box, and it's got a fuel calculator as well that's pretty good. I really like iOverlays and I'm tempted to spend more time on it, actually using it when I'm streaming. I think this is probably the best option if you're looking for a free overlay for iRacing that requires like no brain power and you just want it to get working straight away. This is probably the one for you. So those are 7 overlays that you can use on iRacing for your racing. There are things for, broadcasters like SDK, for spotters like SimRacing Apps, and we have a whole bunch of options in terms of just driving. You've got, JRT for your serious races. You've got Kapps, Racelabs, iOverlays, iRon. It's great. There's many options, and you can pick the one that is best for you. Have you got a favorite overlay that you use on iRacing? Feel free to let us know in the comments. Otherwise, if you want more videos on how to set up overlays, definitely let us know. I'm happy to go into detail. And if you did like this video, feel free to leave a like and you can subscribe to Overtake for more sim racing videos. I'll see you next time. Bye-bye.